A trade as big as Damian Lillard's always brings debate. The Phoenix Suns have received a wave of criticism on social media for their decision to send DeAndre Ayton to Portland. But there is always a reasoning behind a trade, and the Phoenix Suns may have benefited far more than people realize. In reality, even if Ayton was an important part of the Suns' core with a lot of potential, the chemistry problems on the roster were becoming more and more evident. That has been the most decisive factor in finding a trade that would allow the Bahamian center to find another destination where he could excel. And in return, Phoenix has gained assets that will allow it to increase the depth of its rotation. True, the addition of Yousef Nurkic is a downgrade from a talent standpoint, but the Bosnian's defensive orientation may even be a better fit for the Big Three. A Big Three that underwent a major change this summer with the acquisition of Bradley Beal, when the Wizards player was traded to the Arizona franchise in exchange for Chris Paul. A trade that has allowed the Suns to obtain an elite third scorer, and at the same time, another high-volume perimeter shooter. And one that also fits the philosophy of a team that has been able to produce points with solvency from the ISO and from mid-range. In fact, Phoenix shot nearly twice as many shots from mid-range as the second highest shooting team during the past playoffs. But the truth is that trade, along with the arrival of the new CBA that has financially restricted the franchise's maneuverability, left Phoenix's rotation hurting. So in this Yousef Nurkic trade, the Suns have also obtained the services of 3 other players who will probably get minutes throughout the season. In this way, Phoenix has managed to split Ayton's talent in exchange for a starting center and other important role players. Although Nurkic is only 28 years old, he has already had many problems with injuries. That has caused the player to slightly drop his performance on both sides of the floor compared to a few seasons ago. But even so, his player archetype could be a much better fit with the rest of Phoenix's starting 5. The Bosnian is an efficient scorer, but the highlight for the Suns will be his defensive contribution. His presence in the paint will be vital on a team that won't have the best perimeter defenders, which will cause opposing coaches to focus on the paint to do more damage. Another player who has arrived as a result of the DeAndre Ayton trade and who will play a vital role in Phoenix will be Grayson Allen, another elite shooter who has been able to become one of the most important pieces of the Milwaukee Bucks bench, scoring efficiently during the last 2 seasons. Although he was considered a sluggish defender, Allen has improved a lot on this end over the course of his career. In fact, as of today, he is one of the dirtiest players in the entire league, not hesitating to use force when necessary, and with tremendous mental toughness. Now let's take a look at Phoenix's Big Three. The number 1 option for the Suns is Devin Booker. While he may be a below-average defensive player, his offensive contribution is on par with the best superstars. And this is even more accentuated with the arrival of the playoffs, where the shooting guard averaged spectacular numbers of 33.7 points and 7.2 assists per game, with an absurd 59% shooting from the field and a 51% in three-pointers. Booker proved that at this stage of his career, he can take the necessary step to lead a team in the playoffs, even having as a teammate one of the best scorers in NBA history. And his playmaking ability will be used to the fullest, as he will probably occupy the starting point guard position in a similar fashion as Jamal Murray on the Denver Nuggets. Kevin Durant will face his first full season with the Phoenix Suns. It is true that the small forward from Texas has not had the same level of efficiency during the playoffs of the last 2 seasons, as when he played for the Golden State Warriors, but he is still one of the best players in the league. A player capable of scoring from all 3 levels, he will also offer size on defense on a team that desperately needs it. The Suns' success in the upcoming season will likely depend on his performance during the playoffs. The other ingredient in the Big Three is, as mentioned above, Bradley Beal. The former Washington Wizards player will finally be able to enjoy a contending team in which to excel, after playing a decade for a team in the capital that has never enjoyed consistently good seasons. Another spectacular scorer and mid-range shooter, he averaged a staggering 31.3 points per game just 2 seasons ago. One attribute of Beal's that the Suns are going to need in a big way is his playmaking ability. While not exactly an elite opportunity generator, Beal has greatly improved his playmaking vision over the course of his career. On a Phoenix team with no real point guard, this ability will be very, very welcome. Within the quirkiness of the Arizona franchise's current roster, we can expect the final starting spot to be filled by forward Bates-Diop, a player who has been slowly gaining prominence and minutes on a Spurs team that lacked too much talent, but has proven his ability to be part of a quality team's rotation. A defensive-minded forward who has nonetheless proven he can be an efficient offensive player, having averaged 10 points in 21 minutes on 39% three-point shooting last season with San Antonio. He will also have plenty of room on a star-studded team. But beyond Bates-Diop, the Suns don't have a lot of experienced players at the power forward position off the bench. Nasir Little, a player Phoenix also acquired in the Damian Lillard trade, will likely be a very important player in the rotation, and it will basically be because of his defensive ability. The forward is somewhat undersized at 6'5", but his athleticism allows him to defend bigger players. A player with limited offensive potential, but nevertheless capable of scoring three-pointers in low volume. For his part, Yuta Watanabe demonstrated his tremendous shooting ability last season with the Brooklyn Nets. The Japanese native made 44% of his three-pointers last season, making him an excellent sharpshooter from long range. A player who has always been an excellent defender throughout his formative years, he will have plenty of opportunities to prove his worth this season as a forward. But even if the Suns have a top-notch offensive arsenal, they could end up with a serious problem. As mentioned earlier, they have no point guard, neither starter nor backup. Only Saben Lee, who played only 23 games for the Suns last season, and Keon Johnson, who had a similar role with the Blazers and just arrived in the trade, naturally play the position. And neither should, a priori, be part of the rotation. Beyond Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, the Suns won't have any players who can fill the role of playmaker. And that could be a lethal problem in case of injury or simply to offer alternatives in a 7-game series. Hopefully, the enormous offensive potential and the gravity that their players produce will be so difficult to stop that Phoenix will be able to make the difference with any opponent. But it is also true that defensively, the team has certain gaps. Even if Nurkic is going to play an even better role than a demotivated Ayton in that aspect, the absence of wings and interchangeable players can bring problems against teams with more athletic potential, such as the Memphis Grizzlies. In fact, the Western Conference has become extremely difficult. In addition to the projects that have been competing at a good level for years, such as the Suns, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers, or the Los Angeles Clippers, there are many franchises whose core is reaching the necessary level to surprise. Memphis, Sacramento, or Oklahoma are some examples. So it won't be easy, but Phoenix has the chance to make NBA history. The offensive potential of the team is so great that the only comparable team is KD's own Warriors. And if Frank Vogel manages to make the pieces fit together and cover up the shortcomings, the Suns should be one of the favorites in the Western Conference, a team full of hungry players who need to win a ring to save their legacy and who will do whatever it takes to achieve it. So there were a lot of moves on the Wild Wild West. Somehow the Golden State Warriors fumbled a dominant role player at center position. And what about the reigning NBA champions? Denver is still the team to beat?